Hey guys, and welcome back to This Week on the Challenge with me, Adrian, and today we're recapping the finale of The Challenge Season 35 of Total Madness. I thought it was going to be a two-part finale, but it was a one-episode finale, so congratulations to both Jenny and Johnny for being the male and female winner of Season 35 of The Challenge. The final was fine. I thought the final in itself was a little bit boring to watch. It seemed like it was more of a test of endurance to see who could carry on trekking up this snowy mountain. We didn't really see too much of strength or logic, I thought. So, I thought this finale was okay. But let's talk about what happened. So in this first little bit of the episode, it's mostly just everyone talking about what's driven them or motivated them to win in the season. We won't really talk about it much, but the one thing we learned was that Jenny has, 8 or 9 sisters. Oh my gosh, I'll show the photo. But I actually also didn't know she was a twin, but if you Google it really quickly, it also looks like her twin is into fitness, so they're both fitness buffs. So I feel like if MTV ever did a Challenge Bloodline Season 2 season, Jenny, please bring on your sister. You guys are going to be a force of nature. So TJ kicks off the first leg of the challenge, and all of them have to strap on these cross-country skis, pick up 12 logs, only 3 at a time, and transport them to one station to another, start a fire at that station, and light that structure on fire, and then trek over to another area to finish the first checkpoint. So it sounds easy enough. Really, it's a test of their endurance because of how difficult it is to get through this incredibly thick and soft snow. Fessy ends up lighting his fire first, followed by Corey. And then for the girls' side, Jenny's in the lead, but also followed by Casey pretty closely behind. But actually, when they get to the first checkpoint, Corey overtakes Fessy. And so Corey ends up getting to the first checkpoint first, followed by Fessy, and then Jenny. She actually beat a bunch of the guys. Then Bananas, Casey, Rogan, Bailey, and then Kyle and cute Melissa in last place. And the only thing I could think about while watching this episode was knowing now that Melissa was pregnant during this challenge. I could not imagine how she got through that challenge because she's probably exhausted from carrying the baby in her belly anyway. So that was very, very amazing to watch. After the first checkpoint, TJ announces that Corey and Jenny, who finished first place for the males and females, would make up the last tribunal. He doesn't say anything else about it except says, I'll let you know more a little bit later after checkpoint 2. But in order to get from checkpoint 1 to 2, they had to trek up this mountain, and it was really steep and slippery. And honestly, this checkpoint 1 to 2 journey I thought was quite boring to watch. It wasn't like they were trying to overtake each other. It almost seemed like it was a team building activity where they were all going to get up the mountain together. It seemed like the purpose of this was really just to tire them out and add to the journey of this final leg, but it wasn't particularly exciting to watch. So yeah. Once they get to checkpoint 2, which was the compound where presumably they would be there overnight, TJ then announces that Corey and Jenny would have to pick one male and one female to go into the final elimination of the season, while the rest of the group nominates one male and one female to compete in that final elimination. So these eliminations and purgatories aren't done. Just when you think that you made it into the final, you have to go through another round of elimination. Before the women's elimination even begins, unfortunately, Melissa self-eliminates. So she self-nominates and then she self-eliminates herself. But actually it is, it's kind of understandable because we didn't know that Melissa was pregnant. She was still fairly early in her pregnancy, but I mean, some pregnant women can't even walk upstairs without huffing and puffing. So for Melissa to have gone through this entire season and for her to have trekked up that mountain is honestly quite impressive and feel like somewhat dangerous. So just like that, Melissa is out of the competition and Casey wins for the women's round. But for the guys, it's going to be Johnny versus Rogan. They play this elimination game called Knocked Out, where they basically start on opposite ends and then they have to run in the middle where there's a bell. First person to ring the bell is the winner. So simple enough. In that first round, Johnny ends up getting the bell first, but not before missing it when he runs the first time. And they talk about it being hard to jump in the snow, but Johnny does pick up that first round. The second round, Rogan goes hard, but again, it's Johnny who picks up the win in that second round. And so unfortunately, like that, Rogan is eliminated and Johnny wins this elimination. Just in this little last bit, I was actually quite sad to see Rogan go. I have liked him a little bit more in these last few episodes compared to the beginning of the season. I wonder if that had anything to do with the fact that we never got to see any D storyline, which I'm sure Rogan was involved in the last little bit of this season. But Rogan has grown on me, you know, being the one to nominate himself into the eliminations and wanting to prove himself. I really like that aspect of a challenger, and yeah, I like Rogan a little bit more now. TJ then announces that he rewards winners. So he says that Corey, Jenny, Bananas, and Casey will get to sleep in the compound for the night, which is, you know, they get a bed, they get warmth in that compound, they get to sleep before continuing on the final the next day, whereas the losers have to basically just stand all night in front of a fire outside of the compound, which is so demotivating. But yeah, unfortunately, after TJ announced this, Bailey does also drop out of the competition because unfortunately it looked like she pulled her knee, ACL, MCL, I don't know what it's called, but she pulled her knee while she was cross-country skiing. So, you know, I'm sure she was in a lot of pain, and it was impressive for her to even make it up to checkpoint 2. But just like that, unfortunately, Bailey is out of the competition. It was really funny to see the little exchange between Fessy and Kyle all night because, you know, Kyle is obviously the type of person to get through these difficult situations by talking and using humor and just like laughing about it, whereas Fessy really just, you know, tries to conserve all his energy and not talks and just stands there. And so it was really funny to see, you know, Kyle talking and Fessy just stand there, and, you know, they were there for 5-6 hours of the night. So I could only imagine how annoyed they were at each other standing there, but knowing that this is the reality that they were in. But after 6 hours, the producers do allow Kyle and Fessy to go into the compound for a little while. I'm sure they weren't there for long, before starting on the next day of the challenge. I will say that, you know, the fact that these challengers were able to sleep in the compound overnight, getting a full like 6 hours of rest, is such a huge advantage compared to Fessy and Kyle, who had to stay outside all night, cold, tired by a fire. I mean, it really, really gave them such an advantage on day 2 of the final, you know, which was awesome for them, but sucked for Fessy and Kyle for sure. Day 2 starts and it's snowing super hard, so you know it's just gonna be another day of misery for these challengers. But Corey and Jenny get a 1-minute head start in front of Johnny and Casey, ahead of Fessy and Kyle. But this final day, they basically have to solve a math equation, unlock a lock, and then it is a race to the very top, where the first male and female challenger to reach the top will win the $500,000 each. As the second day kicks off, Fessy is in the lead for the group, and he actually manages to solve that math equation first. Contrary to what I thought last week, where I thought that he would get stumped on a potential puzzle in the final, Fessy freaking did it. And so he is now not only physically strong, but he's also, I mean, I don't know if we can say he's good at puzzles, but he can solve math equations. And so he starts going to the top and trekking, followed by Bananas, Jenny, Kyle, Corey, and then unfortunately Casey, who actually times out on the puzzle, and she's, you know, very far behind. But they basically start trekking, and it ends up being Fessy who lags behind once they get to climbing up the mountain. So, you know, I think a part of this was him not getting that overnight, you know, comfortable sleep that he needed, that Johnny and Corey got, because really Fessy's body is exhausted at this point, not having slept the entire night. Impressively, Johnny wins for the guys, breaking his curse since deciding to keep the money against Sarah, and Jenny ends up winning for the women. And honestly, she is freaking impressive. She didn't just win for the women, she actually won first place compared to all the guys in the competition. I mean, sure, she got a 1 minute head start, but people are always talking about how men are, you know, stronger than women, but Jenny freaking proved them wrong by finishing ahead of all the guys in this final. So like that is the end of season 35 of MTV's The Challenge. Like I said, you know, this finale was a little bit of a disappointment. Like, it wasn't as exciting as I thought. I would have really loved to watch them eat some weird shit during this final. We always get that every season, but you know, I haven't seen that this season. But yeah, I'm really happy. Congratulations to Johnny and Jenny. I would have actually thought that Fessy would have won for the guys, just given how you know, they've portrayed him as such a strong player this whole season, and the fact that he, you know, was in the lead of every single leg but just couldn't keep his lead. I was surprised that he didn't win. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this finale. We do have a reunion show to watch next week, and it looks like it's all being conducted over video call because of COVID happening during this time. So that's going to be interesting to watch them fight over video call instead of in person in studio like we're used to watching. So that will be fun. But I had so much fun watching with you guys throughout this season and commenting and talking to you guys down there. Johnny, Rico, Challenge, and X on the Beach fan, and more people. Like, it was just so nice to hear your thoughts every single week and to talk to you. So I am super happy to have started these videos this year to connect with you guys. But yeah, I hope you guys all stay well throughout this time before we get to next season of The Challenge. Yeah, I really enjoyed talking to you guys. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.